Hey everyone, today I'm going to talk about a ZBLL subset that I call super simple. So what super simple is you just put a setup move in front of a certain PLL, and then you reverse the setup move, and then you get this, or something else. But it's a ZBLL, has a cross on the last layer, and OLL with a certain PLL that you can sort of recognize, sort of easily. This isn't really easy to recognize, but the algorithms are fairly easy to memorize, in my opinion. So for this one, you see an N-perm, and then you see this OLL, and you do F, and then you do a T-perm, and then you reverse the setup move, which in this case is an F2. But, yeah, so let's see that again. And, yeah, you get this, so. It's a little hard to grip, but I'm going to show you some other ZBLLs. Okay, so I already showed you this case, which is F, T-perm, and then reverse F, which is F2. And now I'm going to show you its mirror, which is basically the same thing, just a little bit mirrored. So here it is. So you position it here, and you R prime, U, then T-perm, U, and then how I finger trick it is do the last R with my pinky finger. So like that, kind of like one-handed. So let me show you again. So yeah. Now here is the V-perm set. The last one was the T-perm set, if I didn't mention that, sorry. So if it isn't obvious, this set includes V-perms. So for this algorithm, these are just mirrors. So it's just this OLL, and then, so it's basically an R-perm with this OLL. So these two edges are swapped, and these two corners are swapped. And for this, these two edges are swapped, and these two corners are swapped. So I'm going to show you this one. I think you position it like this. So you do F, and then V-perm. Yeah, and then you reverse the F with an L prime because you did a rotation. You can use a different algorithm and then just do F prime, but I'm more comfortable with this. So, again, I kind of do R, like fat R prime, but you can do it either way, it doesn't matter for me. So for this one, it's the mirror. So instead of doing an F, you would do an L prime. So you position it like this, two edges are swapped, two corners are swapped, so you do L prime, and then you do V perm. And then what I do is I go like that at the same time, to, with both hands. So like that, to do the AUF. And say you have, like, so you have like this. I would prefer positioning it first and then doing the algorithm instead of doing an AUF, because then you have to do you have to adjust the U layer, and it's really annoying because it's at this position and you have to turn it and then realize the AUF, and I just think it's complicated. So yeah, that is a V-perm subset. Now for the R-perm subset, there are multiple algorithms, but they do the same thing. You can use my alg, or you can use a different alg. You can mirror it. You can use whichever R-perm alg you use. But I'm going to show you easier one to memorize, and then I'm going to show you the one that I use, which is a little weirder. But I mean, you can go with whichever one you want. So this is what you do. You do L prime. Oh yeah, by the way, it's a V-perm with this OLL, so there's nothing back here except for a solid state. So you do L prime, and you do your right R perm. I called right R perm because you do it with your right hand. And then you do your right R perm, and then when you're done, you do U prime, and then L, or you could do fat R, whichever one fits you. So for my alg, I do it from the back, so I hold it like this instead of like this. So I do L, and then I do and then L prime to reverse the setup move. So again, that's my, it's also just my, without the L and L prime, it's my R prime from the back. Just to let you know that. So yeah, again. Yep. So here comes the really, really annoying G perm set. This is the first two, and then I'm going to show you the other two in the next one. So this is the first G perm, and what you do is, so you see a U perm here, and you see an A perm here, which makes a G perm. So these are the only blocks solved. So what you do is you do an F prime, then you do this G perm, and then by reversing the F prime with an F, you do an R2, because it goes with the PLL, so you cancel into the R2, so like that. So let me do that again. See? Okay. Next G perm. So this is, again, looks almost the same, just a G perm with this OLL. And what you do is, what I would do is, instead of going like this, like the normal G perm, you just do F2, U prime, F, and then continue with your G perm. Oops, my bad. So you do F2, U prime, F, then do your G perm, and then do an F. So these are the next G perms, and this one is, again, pretty simple. So you just, instead of doing this, this is probably the alg that most people use. You just go like that, and then do the G perm. Do an R2 instead of an R, because the setup move cancels into the G perm. So R2, then do your G perm, and then R prime. So let's see that again. Yeah. Now this is the last of the dreaded G perm ZBLLs. They're hard to recognize but easy to memorize, so yeah. This is the last, and it goes like this. So you do an F, and you continue with your G perm. And then you can do an R2, regrip, and then F. But what I do is I do an R2, and kind of rotate the cube as I do an R2. And then with my ring finger, I do a D prime, or F prime, whichever interpretation you want to do. So I do with my pinky. I think it's much better, so you can do it whichever way you want, but I like to do it with my pinky, so yeah. So yeah. Now, these are the J perm sets, and I like these ones a lot because they just flow really nicely because they're J perms. So let's move on. This is probably my favorite super simple ZBLL because it just flows so nicely. So here's how it goes. You do R prime, U prime, then do the J perm, and then you don't do like the last two moves of the J perm. You just finish it off. So like that. And it's really short and it flows really nicely. It's regripless, so I like it a lot. It's, by the way, it's this OLL with a Y perm. As you can see, these are 2x1 blocks, and that's a Y perm. So again, you hold it like this, and you do so on. Now, the other J perm alg is not as good, but it's still really good. So it's for a J perm, you would do something like this. So look at the first two moves. You do that, right? For this, you don't do the R prime. You just do this. And then continue with your J perm. So and then R prime. So let's see that again. And a little bit faster. So it's pretty fast, but it's still not as fast as the other one. So this is the Y-perm set, and the algs aren't really mirrors. They're just, like, I just played around with Y-perms and I got this. So, actually, a friend of mine introduced me to this one, and that's kind of how I discovered, like, all this. So, this might look familiar to you. It's a J-perm, and then you have this OLO, and you hold it in the back, and you do R prime, and then you do a Y-perm. And then R. So, that was horrible. So, J-perm, headlights in front, so, corner twist. And this is just the mirror, and you do it a little differently. What I would do is, so you do an F2 instead of an F, so you do an F2, and then continue on with your Y-perm. And then, when you're done with it, you do an F2 back, so. I do the last F2 with my left hand because I think it's easier, so. It takes up a lot of time, but I like it a lot. Okay, for this last ZBLL, it doesn't have a mirror, and it's a T-perm with headlights in front. So you do an F prime, and then you do an N perm. And then you reverse the F prime with an F. So, in case you're wondering what N perm that is, it's this one, with the completed block on the right, and I do it like this. So, yeah. Again, the algorithm is F prime, N perm, F. So there you go. That's it for the super simple ZBLLs, and I'll see you next video.